Happy Monday, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the morning show right here on the New Main Street TV. And we are so happy to have you here with us to start off your work week, or, well, if you're not working, just the beginning of your week. And happy Monday to everyone. Of course, today is Monday, and that means our good friend Pete Wilson is in the studio to start off our show with the morning news update brought to you by Nia Henry, agent for Appalachia Realty. If you are looking to buy or sell, or you have any real estate needs, questions, whatever, guidance that you might need, please give Nia a call, 740-418-4135, and she'll be out working hard for you. All right, Pete, what a busy weekend here in our area. We had an Oak Hill graduation and a prom and a whole lot of other stuff
Right.
I'm sure you're going to talk about.
Right. Well, if you're around a small community, which we are, and
yes.
You're familiar with May, particularly the last part of May, the back end of May, there's just a lot going on related to the schools. The
Correct.
proms, the graduations, and they're all running together right now. And of course, we being a community paper and a community company, we focus on those things. And
That's
so
right.
we're going to talk about those a little bit, but that's not the only thing in the news, but we'll get around to all of that. Since I wasn't here on Friday, I do want to reiterate for anyone who hasn't heard the good news that Jackson County is now level 1 on the Ohio Public Advisory System map. And there you see that yellow is beautiful. Down there in southeastern Ohio, you can see Jackson County is in yellow and Pike County is in yellow. Vinton County, unfortunately, went from level 1 yellow to level 2 orange. You can see we're surrounded by orange in southeastern and all the way over into most of southwestern Ohio. There are still many counties, and mainly in the highly populated areas, urban areas, that are red, which is not good. Of course, the Ohio Public Health Advisory System, which is done by the Ohio Department of Health, has 4 collars levels on its color-coded map. Yellow, level 1 being the least worst, I guess you can say, because that still means that there's COVID. And the worst being purple, which we haven't had very much of. That's a very serious thing. We've had purple a few times through in the state, but mainly it's been red has been the worst. And Jackson County at one time was red, and now it's all the way down to yellow. I believe it's been all the way since last August when Jackson
Wow.
County was in the yellow status. As far as local updates on COVID-19, the Vinton County Health Department had a report over the weekend. This was their latest report. They actually corrected their numbers from the day before. And what they indicate, the bottom line is, in this latest report that was posted Saturday, I believe, there was only 1 new case, so that's good. There are 4 fewer active cases than what there are. If you can see the infographic there, if you're watching on television, there's 12 active cases in this most recent report. The previous report had 16, so that's good. The number of total related deaths with COVID-19 connections stands at 19. That has not changed now for several weeks. The number of hospitalizations has been the same for the last several reports. That stands at 2 right now. We have not had a new report from Jackson County since last Monday, but when we had it, it was one of the best reports we've had in months as far as the number of new cases. There you are in review right there. As of 5/9, when this was released, which was, of course, a week ago Sunday, there was only 5 active cases, single digits in active cases. That's great. You can see the number of hospitalizations is down to 2. And so, good news from the Jackson County Health Department. And of course, this ended up being borne out when that new color-coded map came out on Thursday. The Jackson County Health Department has announced some vaccination clinics later this week. On Thursday, May the 20th, at the First Church of the Nazarene, 251 Powell Drive. There'll be 2 different times during the day that you can come in for vaccines, 10 to 12 a.m. in the morning, and then in the afternoon and early evening, 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. Then next Saturday, another clinic there, also at the Jackson First Church of the Nazarene, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. No appointment is necessary. For those who are ages 12 to 17 of age, only the Pfizer vaccine will be administered. So, if you're in that age bracket, only the Pfizer vaccine. Also, as far as everybody else, the Moderna, Pfizer, and Johnson & Johnson vaccine should all be available. Remember, the Johnson & Johnson is the one-shot option there. And, just listening to the national news, of course, the big issue now is whether young children should be vaccinated. People who are pro-vaccination, some of those people feel that, their kids don't need to be vaccinated because, they don't seem to be, if they get COVID, it doesn't seem to be very serious. The issue is whether, they can transmit it even as an asymptomatic carrier. So once again, you're receiving a lot of advice, and the talking heads on television are saying different things. But right now, the vaccination rate in Jackson County has increased. It's about 35%. But I know that the CDC and all the public health experts believe that the more people are vaccinated, the better off we will be in the long run. But things are changing. Remember last week, Governor DeWine said that effective June the 2nd, a lot of those restrictions are going to be off. The mask wearing, the social distancing, there'll be more like recommendations. Businesses, of course, and private places can do what they want. They can make their own requirements. It's a free country. They may feel that that's the thing to do. But one of the I guess symbols of everything opening up is the Cincinnati Reds have announced that everybody can come to the stadium now.
Woo-hoo!
You can stand in line for hot dogs and stand next to somebody.
Weren't we just talking about that on Friday? I think we
Yep.
were talking about how exciting that is just to hear that you could go to a baseball game.
Well, I was kind of excited to go to a baseball game and have the whole row to myself.
I know. It's kind of a catch-22 now. You're
Right.
like, wait,
Well,
I was kind of liking
now I have
this
to
whole
sit next to strangers.
And if the trend
I can
continues,
put my feet up.
if the trend continues, and it's the same thing for college football, what are they going to do with those cardboard cutouts of fans that you
Right.
saw? There'll be, I guess, there'll be collector items or something.
Maybe they'll all be on eBay somewhere.
All right, but anyway, I mean, it sounds like the news is really good, and we'll be looking for that next report from the Jackson County Health Department. But things continue to move in the right direction. That
Love
means you can look for pretty much normal activities, I think, or close to normal anyway, at events like the Jackson County Fair and the Jackson Apple Festival and the Ohilco Festival
Yep.
in Wellston. The Turkey Festival that we just had was in a situation where, they had the recommendations and the advisories out. They wanted you to wear masks. They were watching people queuing up too close together. I really don't know how that went or how well they were able to enforce that, but they put it out there. That's how they wanted it to go, and I understand that it did go pretty well. All right, now as far as some of these great school and social events going on Friday evening, the Oak Hill High School had their graduation, and that's a picture that I took at that ceremony. And those girls are smiling. I mean,
They look happy.
You can see their emotion. That is just moments after they received their diploma. They're holding them there. From left to right is Catherine Van Dyne. She's a National Honor Society honoree. Then the next two girls from the right or from the left are Desiree Sharp and Jessica Sexton. They are not only National Honor Society inductees, but they are two of the 8 valedictorians of the Oak Hill High School class of 2021. But the big news story here was that in addition to this being the first of our local graduations here in our Jackson County, Vinton County area, it was held outside, Jen, on the green at Davis Stadium. This was the first time that I know in a long time that Oak Hill has had an outdoor ceremony.
Perfect weather.
It was perfect. It was because of COVID-19, of course. If they have to go inside, at that point, for planning purposes, it probably would have been a ticketed event with limited seating for everybody because of the COVID-19 restrictions. I know that Oak Hill had a contingency plan, as we remarked last week, that unless it was really bad, they were going to stay outside and just put on the ponchos and throw up the umbrellas.
That's right.
And go ahead and go through with it as it was. As it turned out, they didn't have to get the ponchos out.
It was perfect.
Right, and we do want to tell you that at the Telegram, in continuing an annual tradition, we're going to be doing extensive coverage on graduations in the paper. The coverage on the Oak Hill High School graduation, we're going to work on and get ready. It will be in Saturday's paper, but we'll have not only photo coverage, but we'll have a list of the graduates. We'll have some of the coverage from the graduation. We'll also have advertising businesses that are supporting this special coverage, and we will be doing this through each of the high schools. The Vinton County High School graduation is set for this Friday evening. Right now, it is set for outside at the football stadium. That's a change also. Then Wellston High School and Jackson High School will be the next Friday. That'll be on May the 28th. But we'll have extensive coverage of the graduations in each of the papers succeeding these ceremonies. So we do want you to look for that. I know the radio will be doing some special advertising coverage that lists or that announces the names of each and every graduate. And also, we'll be doing the special coverage in addition to Oak Hill graduation. On the same day, we're also going to be listing lists of the scholarship recipients. You know, this is a thing where there's not necessarily a big attendance at these programs or ceremonies. Some of them were even closed this year, but it reflects how well the community and the colleges support our local kids with scholarships. It's just an amazing amount of money, and we'll be having reports on each of these scholarship lists. The Oak Hill list will be running with the Oak Hill graduation material on Saturday, and we hope to run the Jackson High School scholarship information. They had their program a little earlier. It was actually on May the 10th. We hope to have that with some pictures in Wednesday's edition. So these next several editions of the Telegram, lots of good information, positive information about the high school graduations and the scholarships and the proms and everything else. Speaking of proms, the final prom in our succession of high school proms was held Saturday night. It was at Jackson High School, and it was a grand event. They did it differently, once again, because of COVID. There you see Jackson High School's spacious alumni stadium, and what a venue it is for an outdoor event because there's so much seating there, and it's just a beautiful setting there high up on the hill. You know, you can see far in the distance and all. Beautiful scoreboard up there, to an auxiliary media assistance there for listing graduates and other things up there on the big scoreboard. But they did the prom on Saturday there. They did what is called the walkthrough, and I happen to know those two young people there, and they deserve to have their picture taken. Madison Atkins and Mason Perrell. Not only are they boyfriend and girlfriend and dates for the prom, but they are both valedictorians at the Jackson High School class of 2021. And I know they were near the head of the line because Madison is a class officer as well. I know that. So this was a nice ceremony up there. Our own James Hamilton was up there, did a great job chronicling that on a video and also on an album on our Facebook. So you can go to the Telegram's Facebook and see pictures of all the people, all the prom dates coming through there. We had a lot of hits on that. A lot of people were impressed with that coverage. So we thank James for doing that.
Yay, James!
His expertise there always comes
also
through.
Shout out to Matt McKee, who was the MC for the walkthrough.
Very good.
Right there, I noticed he had a nice jacket on there. He dresses up well when he needs to. So Matt was there, and of course we're going to have some coverage in the paper too. James is going to pass along some still photos that we can put in the paper as well. So coming up this weekend on the graduation prom beat, all the proms are now finished there at our local high schools, but the Vinton County High School graduation will be on Friday evening. I know our own Red Thompson Jr. will be up there to cover that. So now we move away from the prom back to hard news. Last Saturday down at the Liberty Theater Community Center in Oak Hill, they had the final meeting on this neighborhood revitalization grant application that we've talked about now for several months. This sounds boring, but this is a big, big deal for Oak Hill. Oak Hill, if they could get this grant, and that's what these community meetings have been all about, they will get $750,000 to make improvements in the community. This last community meeting, and there have been 5 of them, I think, since last fall, it was all about getting input from the community and the village officials about how to use the money if they get it. And here's what they've decided to put on the application. Now, I say this with a major qualifier. They don't have this grant yet. It's a competitive grant, and they've got to win it. But the grant consultant, Whitaker Wright, believes that Oak Hill has a great chance to get it.
Good.
So we'll know about that sometime late in the summer. But here are the projects that the village intends to place in their grant application. One would be a new playground equipment for Etna Park, right there by the village hall. Water line replacements on Gallia and Railroad Street, so very important infrastructure project. Also, the replacement of 16 fire hydrants in the village. You know, that's expensive, but it's important that you have good fire hydrants that work. And the fourth project that they're going to ask for is the rehabilitation of the tennis courts into 3 basketball courts at the village pool. There you see the tennis courts at the pool. As you can see, not in very good condition. There you've got the weeds growing up in the cracks, and you've got cracks in the asphalt. But what they intend to do, instead of having a tennis court there, is to convert the tennis courts into 3 basketball courts. Of course, basketball always a big sport in Oak Hill. They want to really make improvements to the recreational complex around the Margaret Ann Pool. And there you see a shot of the pool. That is a village-owned and operated pool that's actually supported by a local tax levy. And even though the grant application is not going to include some other improvements to the pool, the village is going to do some of that on its own in conjunction with this grant application. I know that they're going to do a splash pad to replace the baby pool and some other things there. But the pool will open on Memorial Day weekend. And now these projects, if they get the money, they probably won't happen until next year. It's the way the money flows there. But certainly very excited about the possibilities. Now this is a maybe, not a certainty. But if there's enough money in the grant, as far as the way the projects go out, they also may create a pickleball court there at the pool. Pickleball has become a favorite indoor sport at the YMCA.
It has been.
You may or may not know that. It's hard to explain. It's kind of reminds you of a little bit of volleyball, a little bit of badminton.
Yeah.
And how else would you describe it?
All those like handball, all those like different.
There's a net in the middle, and there's teams on both sides. It's co-ed. You can do it at any age. I could do it, you know. A kid could do it, you know.
That sounds like a challenge, Pete.
An 8-year-old
Yeah, I
could
mean,
do it.
is this like going to be the pickleball challenge?
Yep.
Right. You know, well, we can do that. But pickleball has become a big thing at the YMCA. And Terry McCain, who is an Oak Hill council member, suggested at this last meeting, well, maybe we could do a pickleball court. I don't think it would be very expensive, and they hope that there's money enough to do that.
Yeah.
And if they do that, that means the basketball courts would be a little smaller.
Okay.
Rather than 94 feet, they'd be 84 feet, but they'd be able to fit in a pickleball court. So that's kind of a possibility there.
I say Pete puts together a team, Jen puts together a team, and we have a Pete versus Jen pickleball game later this summer.
Oh, Lordy.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know whether I want to take on that blonde or not. She looks pretty formidable to me. That's right. Remember, she was a horse queen.
I was the horse queen.
Not anybody gets to be the horse queen in Jackson County.
I've never played pickleball, but I don't think there are horses involved.
I'm
not sure if that's
you just
actually
wait
an
until you
advantage.
see my version of it.
I'm just pointing out her status in general. All right?
Okay.
Not anybody gets to be the horse queen in Jackson County.
That's true.
All right. But anyway,
Shoot.
going to a sadder note, a serious injury-related crash over the weekend in the county. This happened on State Route 327 north of Wellston. This news comes from the Ohio State Highway Patrol. Troopers were notified at 9:07 p.m. on Friday evening that a motorcycle being driven by Melvin Waldron, he's from Wellston, he's only 24 years old, had been involved in a crash, a one-vehicle crash. The way it worked out, troopers believe from their initial investigation that the motorcycle drove across the center line, went off the left side of the road, struck a ditch, and overturned. The motorcycle then returned to the roadway, slid on its right side, and came to rest in the northbound lane of the highway. As you might guess, the operator, Mr. Waldron, suffered serious injuries. He was initially taken to Holzer Medical Center here in Jackson, and then he was flown to St. Mary's Medical Center in Huntington, West Virginia, which is one of the trauma centers in our region. I don't have any updated information about his condition, but it was serious, considered serious at the time. All right, we're going to inform you about a situation in the city of Jackson that the public needs to be aware of, and I know that the city administration, Randy Evans, and his service director, David Swackhammer, are going to be doing a lot of public notification work in different ways to get the word out. But this is about the maintenance of Fairmont Cemetery. And Fairmont Cemetery, if you aren't aware, that is the big cemetery on the east side of town, just off of East Broadway Street, sits up on the hill. Fairmont Cemetery, about 16,000 graves are reportedly up there. And there has been problems lately with the work crews doing the mowing. And the problem is all the decorations that are on the graves. You know, they've become a little bit more elaborate and large in recent years. And there are rules, and there is a new sign at the entrance to the cemetery that spells out what those rules are. And the bottom line is that violations have been allowed to happen for quite some time. The rules just weren't enforced. Not saying that was anybody's fault, but it's just a fact. Well, they've run into extra trouble this year on the mowing, and of course we're right in the heart of the mowing season before Memorial Day. And it's come up at the Jackson City Council meetings that, you know, it was posed to the administration. You know, they asked if this was a problem and what could we do about it, what should we do about it. And at the last council meeting, which was just last week on May the 10th, Mr. Swackhammer made a report and said he had done an inspection of the cemetery, and he figures that he took pictures of about 130 potential violations up there of this cemetery decoration rules, what's allowed and what's not allowed. And so they posed it to council, what do you want us to do? Because, you know, this is kind of a heavy issue because
Sure.
people are probably pretty emotional about the decorations that they have on their loved ones' graves.
Well, Pete, can we talk about, like, what's the problem? I mean, I'm just asking.
I'm going to tell you what those rules are. This will give you an idea of what they're looking at.
Okay.
Here are the rules that have not always been complied with, and this isn't a new thing. This has been gone on for several years. Okay, planting of shrubbery and trees are prohibited. So if you see little trees or little shrubs that's been planted around a landscaping around a grave, it says the planting of rose bushes, barberry, large shrubbery, or trees of any kind, size, or type is prohibited. That's number one.
There's tons of those up there.
All right. Number two, cornerstones shall not exceed 8 inches in width and shall not extend above the ground level. Borders or curbing and any type of fencing, either permanent or temporary, are not allowed. Foot markers shall not extend above the ground level. All right. That's another one. The third one, no benches or chairs of any type shall be permitted on any burial lot unless the bench or chair is part of the gravestone. I think you see some of those up at the cemetery too.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily connected to the tombstone. You know, they're separate. They're set off to the side a little bit. And they're not really hurting anything. And, you know, it's obviously important to the relative of the loved one who put it there, probably more for decoration than for actual use. But the problem is, number one, it's not allowed. And when the mowers come, well, suddenly they're weed eating instead of mowing.
So it's more of a mowing issue.
It's a mowing issue, and then it becomes an expense issue because one of the things that, you know, Dave Swackhammer said at the meeting is, you know, you tell us what you want us to do. I think they were very wise to ask council, you know, do you want us to go forward with this? And here's the upside and downsides of both. The downsides of not going forward with it is that he says that they will have to hire some extra workers because it's just taking more time to do this mowing, especially when there's a lot of weed eating rather than mowing involved. So that's extra expense and hiring some extra people, at least seasonally, all right? The downside of doing something is that these rules have not been enforced, not just this year, but in past years as well. And some of these things have been put in place. They've been allowed to put in place, and they've stayed in place. So now what are you going to do? You're going to tell those people they have to remove them?
Right. You're going to go dig up a bunch of rose bushes around something. Well, and I'm going to be honest with you about one thing, Pete.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my only thought about it. I know why people plant permanent things up there is because everybody steals the decorations off of graves.
That has been a problem in the past.
It's ridiculous. But that is why people put more permanent things in the ground. So you're not going to steal a rose bush because it hurts.
Right. And no,
and they're still pretty.
That's really a tough issue. There isn't any easy answer to that because, on one side, you could say, hey, listen, we got rules. We need to enforce them.
Right.
We've been lax before, but now we need to start enforcing the rules. The other thing you can do is eliminate the rules. I don't think, in my opinion, if you have rules, they either need to be removed
or followed.
They need to be lessened,
sure,
or you need to enforce them. And
right.
None of those, may be the perfect solution. But the decision of council, and the administration is certainly willing to do it, is to go forward with enforcement. Now, Randy Evans did say this. I talked to him at the end of last week just for clarification purposes and to see if any other decisions had been made since the council meeting. He used this word. He said he is going to slow walk this enforcement.
Okay.
He wants to make sure that people in town and out of town, for that matter, who have lots, they know
right.
what the rules are. That sign that you saw, if you were watching on TV, that sign has not been there very long. It spells out the rules, okay? So they're going to be proactive about people buying new lots on what is allowed. They'll know up front that they, can't do the things that we listed there on the rules. And then as far as the people who already have things up there and they're already in place, notification is going to take place. It's going to take place through newspaper articles, radio stories. I think we may have some guests on television, maybe the mayor, maybe a council member talking about it. They're going to do as much notification as they can to the lot owners themselves. They don't want, if they do choose to do a complete enforcement where they remove things, they certainly want notification to be in place and plenty of time for folks to maybe do it themselves or make some revision that makes their decoration acceptable.
Pete, so what is the penalty for not complying with those rules?
Well, you know what? That in the ordinance that I saw, the section that I saw, it listed what you can't do. It didn't say what the penalty was, if it's some kind of criminal offense or that was not on the part of the ordinance that I saw.
Well, it's probably never been addressed before. So.
I think that's part of the problem. Marva Colby, who is a councilwoman, came up with a very good point. I think she said that she didn't know exactly what the rules were herself until she looked at the ordinance, and she feels probably most people don't know that they can't put a bench up there, or they can't put shrubbery up there.
I'm sure, yeah.
Or maybe even if they knew, they see that somebody else has done it.
Right, they're all over the place. So, yeah, I don't think that anybody's maliciously putting anything up at the cemetery. I did see, Pete, that on that sign it says the hours of the cemetery, it closes at 4.
I didn't realize that.
It used to say dusk.
Dusk. It did say dusk, and I think what that is, this is just my guess. I think that's a control thing because of when there's somebody up there at the office there, heading in there, and when the workers are up there.
Okay.
And I also think, remember in the winter, when there isn't as much light, gets darker early, they do worry about what can happen up at the cemetery in the way of vandalism and like that at night. Maybe the partiers go up there or whatever. Maybe even somebody up there who might just be walking or going up there, they have a reason to go to a grave or whatever. It's an emotional thing. They feel it's probably not safe maybe to be up there at night.
4 p.m. is a little early though.
Yeah. Well, I had not realized that it had changed till 4 p.m. I do remember, like you, cemetery closes at dusk, which, that can be different times at different times of the year. And they did have gates up there. I mean, I don't know whether they're still there or not.
I don't know, but I remember some friends of mine got locked in there one night. We had been assigned to go up and do like some epitaphs for school, and they went up there and got locked in the cemetery.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
All right. Well, anyway, that's one of the issues that the city will be that the city is facing and dealing with, and we will have
Okay.
an expanded, detailed story on that in our Wednesday edition of the Telegram.
Once
Hey,
again, glad I don't have to make the decision.
I know, and you've got to admit, no easy way to
No.
do on that because you're in a position. One of the things that was said by one of the councilmen is that the cemetery is supported by a tax levy. That's not all the money that goes in the cemetery, but it's part of it.
Yep.
And the thought is, if you're being responsible stewards of the tax money, you're spending more money than you should.
Right.
At least if you look at it one way, because you're not enforcing the rules.
True.
So is that fair to John Q. taxpayer, if you want to take it from that pure standpoint? All right. Hey, there's going to be a cool event out at Cantor's Cave this weekend. It's called the Pre-1890 Indoor Trade Fair. Have you ever been to that, Jennifer?
I have.
Okay, well, it's neat, isn't it?
It is very cool.
They usually have it in January, in the middle of January, and they face all sorts of weather problems sometimes but that's when they do it, and that's why it's indoors. They also do things outdoors.
Yes.
But this one they didn't have in January. You know why?
Yes.
Because of COVID. Well, now they're going to have it because things are loosening up, and it's going to be this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and Larry Zorns, who is with the Sons of Liberty Muzzle Loading Rifle Club, that's the local organization that puts this on, and Larry Zorns is the guy who makes it happen. There's going to be vendors, all sorts of vendors out there and dealers in pre-1890 stuff, I guess you might say.
Yep.
Knives, weapons, clothing, candles, all sorts of things that are pioneer. Are pioneer. If you don't have something pre-1890, you're not supposed to be there. People sell the stuff. But even if you're not a collector or you're not interested in necessarily buying something, it's something to see. A lot of them are in
they are
pre-1890 garb as well. So it's kind of like a living history lesson out there.
It is.
Very interesting. I mean, there are books out there, displays, furs, about anything that you can think of. Blacksmith-made ironware, of course, a lot of muzzle-loading guns, numerous other items that reflect early Americana. And there is a token admission fee, but here's something that the Sons of Liberty Muzzle Loading Rifle Club does to help the local kids. They donate a portion of the proceeds to the Cantor's Cave 4-H camp. And of course, the Cantor's Cave 4-H camp, its main function, even though it serves as a venue for many community and public events, it is also the place where 4-Hers go in the summer.
Yep.
To become men and women, to learn teamwork and have a nice social time and to learn about 4-H and the outdoors and all that. So all that is this weekend. The hours this weekend are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday and then 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Sunday. That's at the Cantor's Cave 4-H camp just off US 35 west of Jackson on Township Road 223. That's Cantor's Cave Road. All right, on the sports side, we want to take our hats off to the Wellston girls softball team. There they are, and they are posing after winning a sectional championship, which they did this past weekend with a victory, and they will go on to the district tournament now. They are also, I'm not sure I reported this because I haven't been here since the end of last week. They also won the TVC Ohio Championship. They defeated Meigs on the road to be able to do that. If I said that before, I'll say it again. They are the TVC Ohio champs, and they are also sectional tournament champs, and they will advance to the district tournament. Meanwhile, our Jackson Ironmen are starting tournament play tonight, weather permitting.
That's right.
You can maybe tell us in just a few minutes whether we'll get that game in. But that game will be down at Howler Field. The Jackson Ironmen will be playing the Greenfield McLean Tigers. That's a Frontier Athletic Conference rival, but they happen to be playing each other in the tournament as well. This is the start of the Division II sectional tournament. Jackson gets to host because they finished with a great record. They have the number 2 seed in the NTAR district for Division II teams. They finished the season, Jennifer, with a record of 20 wins, 2 losses, and 1 tie. The tie came on Friday night against Ironton, Thursday evening against Ironton. Ironton was late because of bus problems, so they didn't start till 5:30. Well, guess what? The game went 9 innings. The score was 3-3, and then it was just too dark to play. There are
Oh,
no lights
shoot.
there at Howler Field, the Huron Street. I mean, it used to be a long time ago when I played Little League, but there aren't now. So it was a tie. It's late in the season. It's non-league, so they're not going to play that game. So it's a tie. Ironton was champions of the Ohio Valley Conference, and so two champions end up in a tie. 22-1 for the Ironmen. If now we're in the deal where you're one and done. If you lose, you're out. So, extra pressure. But we will be there to broadcast that game tonight. The old right-hander, Pete Wilson, the old left-hander, Dan Morrow. 5 o'clock is game time in the Division II sectional, Jackson versus Greenfield McLean. That'll be on 105.3 FM and Fox Sports 1330 AM. Of course, you can get it on our app, too. And you can get it, on the internet, off your computer and off your phone and all that. So that's another way to listen to it. And we know that even when we're doing the broadcast, we can see on our phones that people are commenting. So Steve Lloyd, who moved to Florida, I think.
Yes.
He usually listens to every game. So that's just one example there.
That's right.
Of what
Very convenient.
what our streaming does. It lengthens our audience for sure. So
You got it.
anyway, we're very excited. We will do every home game that the Ironmen have in the tournament. We'll at least do that. It could be as many as 3, Jennifer. Don't want to jinx them or anything because
No pressure, guys.
no. If Jackson would win, they would play again on Thursday evening, probably against Hillsborough, although Hillsborough has to beat somebody first, and then they would play the district semifinal game the following Monday. That would also be at Jackson. After that, they go to a neutral site for the district championship game. All right, so there you are, Jennifer. That brings us up to date.
Sounds great. Thank you, Pete. Always great talking with you.
All right, it's always wonderful to come up and visit with you, and I'll pick my pickleball team. You pick yours.
Oh, okay.
Mine will all be 60 and up. Just so take it easy on us.
I got it. We're good. All right, and don't forget Pete's Morning News Update brought to you by Nia Henry, agent for Appalachia Realty. If you are looking to buy or sell or any real estate questions, needs, whatever, 740-418-4135, and Nia will be out working hard for you. All right, let's head on over to your Zip Printing weather forecast, where it is not too late to pick up those graduation yard signs, banners, shirts, and all the other fun stuff that they can print out for you. As Pete was saying, the Jackson Ironman baseball team does play in their first tournament game tonight. And what does that look like? Well, it looks like a 60% chance of rain. So I'm sorry, I cannot tell you one way or the other whether it's going to rain or not. Highs today, though, very, very nice, around 68 degrees. Then looking on to the rest of the week, all these one-liner forecasts, mostly cloudy tomorrow, 77. Wednesday, partly cloudy, 82. Thursday, partly cloudy, 87. 88, 80. You see, it goes on and on and on. So actually getting a bit warm this week as the temperatures continue to rise. And I guess it is close to the end of May and Memorial Day coming up at the very, very end of the month. So that's, I always think of your first official kickoff to summer. All right, well, our good friend Phil is in the house. What up, buddy?
Hello.
How you doing?
Tired.
Tired?
I'm tired.
It's the beginning of the week. You should be all rested and raring to go.
No, I moved all weekend and
Oh.
yeah, I'm pretty tired.
Ooh, there's nothing worse than moving.
Yeah, I agree.
It is
But it's
literally
done.
the worst.
Yeah.
And it's like when you move, you realize how much you hate moving and say you're never going to do it again.
Yeah.
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 All
Agreed.
of that.
Agreed. And I also realized how much more stuff my significant other has than I do. Because I would have been done Saturday mid-morning if it would have been just been my stuff.
I
that's
got a
okay.
bed and some sheets and like 7
one
mugs.
backpack full of clothes.
Yeah, and a hamper full of clothes. That's it.
Yeah. But it's all good. We got it all done. We got a lot accomplished this weekend.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, at least you feel as if you're fulfilled,
Yeah.
even though you're tired on Monday.
Yep.
No, moving is definitely the worst. So So what the heck else is going on? Have you been out and about and found out any scoop over the weekend that maybe Pete didn't cover?
I mean, I know there are some unique events coming up in Wellston for Memorial Day.
That's cool.
This is the first time they're doing this. It's called the Field of Heroes, and that's going to take place Friday, Saturday, and Sunday through Memorial Day weekend. This isn't their idea. This is something that other communities do. I think the biggest in the state would be in Westerville, and I believe Wellston Rotary Club President Tim Jackson said that. Well, first I'll tell you what the event is, I guess. So they're going to take the old Wellston High School lot there, right in the middle of town in Wellston, and they're planting these 3-foot by 5-foot flags on 10-foot poles, and these are in memory of anyone that a community member would consider their hero. It doesn't have to be a law enforcement officer or a veteran or anything like that. It could just be anybody they consider to be a hero. So you get a name plaque in honor of that individual to go along with the flag. They're going to have solar-powered spotlights in front of each of these so that even throughout the night you'll be able to see them. And the last time I checked, I think they had sold over 70. I think the goal for the first year was 50. Now in Westerville, they do about 3,000. So they're looking to grow this and to make this an annual event.
Now, is this a permanent thing or is it just for Memorial Day?
Just through the weekend.
Okay.
Now, you have different options when it comes to the levels of sponsorship for these flags. I can't remember exactly what the breakdown is, but in one of them, you can offer to have them keep the flag to put out again the next year, or you can take it home yourself. And they even give you a stand that you can set it up in your house. Obviously not the 10-foot version, but a smaller version of that flagpole. And all this money is to benefit the Wellston Rotary Club and their, especially their scholarship fund. They want to up the amount of scholarships that they're able to provide each year, and this event will help. In addition to the Field of Heroes event, they're going to have a 5K walk/run on Saturday morning. They're going to have the Fill the Boot, which I'm sure you've seen Rotarians out in the streets at intersections with a boot for people to throw in their spare change or whatever, also to raise money for the Wellston Rotary Club and their various endeavors. So, yeah, that'll be a new thing that they're going to have. I think the opening ceremonies is going to involve Commissioner John Hensler is going to sing the national anthem. And that's all going to kick off right there on Pennsylvania Avenue in Wellston, I believe Friday morning. So that'll kick off Memorial Day weekend in Wellston, a little something new. So yeah, everybody's pretty excited about that. I believe the time has passed for you to purchase a flag, but I'm sure if you would reach out to any Rotarian, if you want to get involved, I'm sure you can find your way in there. So yeah, that's something new for the city of Wellston.
That is, what a good idea.
Yeah.
And, the lot is sitting there, and one of my favorite things in the world is to drive down to Oak Hill during, like, their Festival of Flags or whatever, and you see those streets just lined with all the flags. And so I feel like it will be the same kind of situation where you just drive in and it's just this, like, overwhelming, like, feeling of patriotism and honor, and so that sounds like a good idea. I love that.
They're going to have them all, once they figure out how many they have to where they can set them up in a grid pattern. They're going to have them, of course, in perfect rows, and with the spotlights on them at night. That should be pretty cool, I think.
Very cool.
Yeah,
love that idea. Cool. So what else you got going on?
Well, I know
busy
that
moving all week. So
yeah.
Do you have any furniture you're going to have to move out of Fairmont Cemetery?
No, I can't say. Can't say I've done that. I never realized how big of a problem that was, I guess. I also didn't know, like you guys said, I didn't realize it closed at 4 p.m. That's a little strange. I'm trying to think if Ridgewood and Wellston has rules like that, I'm pretty sure it's still dusk for the closing time. That's how most cemeteries are, I feel like.
I'm just going to say, this is just my opinion, 4 o'clock's too early.
Yeah. I mean, some people don't get off work
If
until
you don't-
5 o'clock.
I was going to say, I mean, if you work, when are you going to go to the cemetery?
I don't know. I don't know. But, I mean, like Pete said, too, in the winter months, I mean, obviously the sun's going to go down quite earlier than what it would in the summer, but still, I think dusk makes sense. You don't want people up past dark.
Yep.
But it doesn't get dark until 9 o'clock in the summer, so, I mean, you're wasting 5 hours worth of time. You could go up and see one of your loved ones.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Maybe we'll make a call about that.
I definitely understand why they would want to get those items out of the way. I mean, that does take a lot of time, especially when you don't have all that many people on your crew to go and do that kind of work, to weed eat around all those graves, and upwards of 16,000 graves. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
There's way more people buried than alive here in this area, and that's kind of wild. You know, it's interesting, though, like, sometimes I go up there and walk, and I think that there's hardly ever a time that I've been up there where there hasn't been someone personally, like, weed eating and taking care of an area.
Right.
So I feel like a lot of people personally do that, but there's probably a lot of people that don't personally do that, and I get that, and it's not your responsibility to do that. I think people just do it because they want to. So I don't know what the answer to that is, as it's been let go for so long. And then, I mean, there's a lot of like granite benches and things up there that I know people spent a lot of money on. So I don't know what the answer to that is. I'm glad we don't have to make that decision.
Me too. I don't want involved in politics at all.
No. We'll just run our mouths about it.
Yeah, I'll complain.
Well, so Pete said he didn't know what, like, the fine or penalty or whatever it was. So say you had bought a fancy granite bench to put up there.
Right.
And the fine was going to be $100 a year. Would you be willing to pay something like that to
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you've got a $1,500 bench sitting up there or whatever. Like, or you're like, fine, and whatever.
Yeah, it would almost be worth it. And then at that point, you didn't solve any of the problem other than you get a little bit more money coming in. So
maybe
I don't know.
Money can go to hiring someone else on the groundskeeping crew.
True.
Or maybe
cut down on that
could it be that if you wanted to have that kind of thing, then you have to pay like a yearly rent,
right?
Space rent for it.
Yeah, that would be a good idea, because then like James said, that offsets the cost of your workers.
Yeah.
Get some more people up there to lessen the burden. Because if you only have 4 or 5 people in that amount of space, and you have to stop and hop off your mower every 20 feet.
Totally understood.
Yeah.
Like I get that.
But if you get 20 people to go out there and hit it all at once, it wouldn't be so bad.
Is there a compromise in there somewhere by?
I think the rent fee thing that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because then you're at least contributing.
Right. Then you can't complain about it. I'm trying to think if there's anything new. So, okay. So, CDC has just completely screwed everybody up. The national news needs to shut up. The CDC needs to shut up. Everybody needs to shut up about this mask thing, right? Because we were all chugging along perfectly fine, and then all of a sudden everybody starts just spewing out rando advice and comments and whatever, and has confused the American people to the point where they're just like,
yeah, I know.
I don't know. So it was interesting. I was up north over the weekend, and I was like paying attention to mask wearing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so interesting, like the culture of different places. So we stayed in a hotel for a night, and so workers there still wearing masks, but they were having a one of those like MMA things.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, there's all these like, pumped up people walking around, and like nobody having a mask on, right?
Yeah.
Okay. in this hotel. And at this point, I don't even know whether you're supposed to or whether you're not supposed to. Like, I just throw it in my pocket, and I'm like, if I see everybody else doing it, like, cool.
Right.
But then you go to like a restaurant or a brewery or, you know, a store, and it was like so weird. Like, I feel like it was kind of all or nothing. Like, either this place everybody did or this place everybody didn't. And I don't know if it's just the culture of the, you know, the ownership or whatever, but I just think people are really, really confused right now. And at this point, again, until the governor lifts our orders, I feel like it's, you know, whatever they say.
Yeah.
But it was interesting when I was checking into the hotel, like 3 people called while I was, and she was like, well, we're still following the state of Ohio guidelines. Like, but that was the call that she kept getting over and over again. And, you know, because of the nature of the event they were having there, a lot of people were from out of town. So I think they were just really like, we don't want to do something stupid or whatever. And she's like, you know, we're, as workers, we're wearing masks, but, you know, whatever. So,
I went into, I went into like a store, like a grocery store. I went into, not a big store, and I went into a couple of gas stations, and it was kind of split. There were definitely probably more people that didn't have them on than did, but this is, you know, between Jackson and Athens.
yes.
It's mostly going to have to be based on the honor system, unfortunately.
Right.
So I mean, if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear it, you know, but that doesn't mean that someone who isn't can just blend in with everybody else. And also,
for sure,
each individual business has the right to say that they would still prefer you to wear a mask, and that supersedes anything else. I mean, it's up to them.
For sure. So it's like, what do you do? Now, it was interesting. I went into the big gray building down the road the other day, Saturday morning. Like pretty early Saturday morning. And they had just come out, I think it was Walmart, it was like Costco. There were like 3 or 4 big box stores that came out and said, you know, we're going to lift that mask thing. Mm-hmm. So I happened to be there on Saturday morning early, and that happened, I think, Friday night. And I was very, very surprised. I'm pretty sure that I could say that 90% of people in the store had them on.
Wow, really?
I was surprised. Huh. Yeah.
I think some people are just, we did it for so long, it just became part of the routine.
Right.
And a lot of people probably aren't comfortable without it yet, because I've heard a lot of people say that they're waiting to see like how things play out. They don't want to contribute to another big spike and then make this, you know, even more prolonged.
Right.
But all these experts have come out and basically said, you know, it's not a big deal anymore.
Today.
So, yeah, today. And then we'll see what happens. But
then tomorrow it might be something else.
Now, granted, it's all brand new still. I mean, relatively speaking. So, I don't know.
I don't know. It's just like, it's hard to know what to do. And this is the deal. Whatever your gut tells you to do, that's, I think, what you should do. And who cares what everyone else is. This is a great exercise in peer pressure.
Yeah. Yeah.
As adults even. But, you know, I understand if you have little kids at home that are, have either are of age to be vaccinated and haven't, or are too young to be vaccinated.
Yeah.
I understand that, you know, if you go out and even if you have had the vaccine, the way I understand it is you can bring it home, the virus home to your child, and you be asymptomatic. But so I don't flipping know, man.
So that was the situation. I went into a gas station by myself, for instance. There was nobody else in there but the worker. The worker didn't have a mask on. I didn't put mine on. I was in there for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Now, I went into another store the next day and had my son with me. He's only 5.
Uh-huh. Right.
And so I told him, you know, I don't have to wear a mask technically, but you kind of still do. I'm not going to put you through that, so I'll wear one with you.
Which was a discussion I saw this morning of parents just doing it to support their kids, basically.
Yeah, I don't want to make him do something and then, you know.
Do as I say.
Yeah. Because he doesn't obviously like to wear a mask.
Right.
But, I mean, it's just going to be one of those things where hopefully in about, you know, a month or so, we'll we'll all be on the same page with this, and we'll be able to go forward without any confusion.
Yeah. I just wish they'd stop talking.
Me too. I mean, the
Like,
more you
just-
talk about it, the more confusing it gets, because
Yes.
these catch-22 scenarios, it's mind-boggling, and it's doing more harm than good at this point, I think. Just come out with a set of rules for everyone to follow, the end. Because you can't, like I said, it's based on how honest you are at this point. I mean, and I think we all know how that goes most of the time. So, yeah, I don't know.
It is, I don't know. It's just a big old mess, and people are going to do what people are going to do regardless. And,
Yep.
And so just do, I feel like, what's best for you and your family, and that's A-okay. And business owners, hey, do what you want to do, man. We're actually having a meeting today with some staff about what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, if you asked me today, I would say I don't know.
It's pretty up in the air right now.
So we're gonna meet and we're gonna discuss it. And as far as I'm concerned, it's up to the staff what they want to do.
Right.
How do you feel safe? What do you want to do?
Yep.
So that's what we're going to do.
Well, that's good. It's good that you take an approach like that, because, I mean, I'm sure there are lots of businesses where they just make the decision for everyone instead of ask for everyone's opinion.
Well, listen, I'm not the one going to war every day with it. You know,
Right.
I mean, I'm there, yes, but I'm not the one serving folks and whatever. I mean, I'm obviously out and around, but
That's a good way to look at it.
yeah, not my decision to make. So, I don't know. It's just, the CDC, whatever her name is, comes out and does that whole thing on whatever Thursday or Friday night. And now she's backtracking all over the place because she's gotten so much feedback. And it's like, why did you open your pie hole?
I know.
Just shut your pie hole.
Yeah.
Like,
I was so excited when I first heard, like, even the whispers of this, and just that at least a couple steps back toward normalcy, but that
Right.
didn't last very long. I mean, it had to be convoluted and confusing, but
correct.
this whole thing's been that way, so it's
It
just more of the
has.
same. But at least there is, a light at the end of the tunnel. We're almost there.
You are correct. So
The worst
that is a
over.
good thing to look forward to.
Yes. I
For
look
sure.
forward to going to a baseball game and being surrounded by screaming people. I can't wait.
Not James. He wants the whole aisle to
Yeah,
himself.
I said I was excited to go to a
He's
Reds
so
game and
sad.
have the whole aisle to myself. Now I'm gonna sit next to some stranger.
That's
He's
true.
Like, wait a minute
Yeah.
here.
That's true.
Oh my God.
That's all right.
Well, I'll leave you guys with this one. So we've all heard of spite fences, right?
Spite. Oh, okay.
A
Yeah.
spite fence.
Yeah.
You know. Well, there was a guy in Michigan that built perhaps maybe the spite fence of all spite fences. Guy, yeah. He retaliated against his neighbor who claims that a 250-foot wall of manure
Oh my gosh.
was erected following a property line dispute he had with a fellow farm owner last year. The unusual divider separates two properties in Michigan. Aside from serving as a physical divider, the manure wall comes with a powerful stench, as you can imagine. The farmer who built the wall denied the organic structure is a poop wall.
Poop wall.
It is a compost fence.
Compost fence. All right. That's the proper nomenclature here, I guess.
I mean, you say tomato, I say tomato.
I say poop fence.
Yeah, I say poop fence. Composting is the act of adding organic material to soil to help plants grow, obviously. Manure is not listed as an ideal compostable material under the EPA.
Wow.
So I don't know. There is a compost fence tutorial on doityourself.com that states that built fences are meant to keep animals out of compost with wiring or other fencing materials. An organic material like manure is not a suggested viable option.
I wouldn't think. It's not the best building material, probably. I wonder
No.
what this guy did to this person to get to this point. This obviously wasn't step 2 in this process.
No,
Yeah.
evidently they are. It's a property line dispute, but I mean, I would think like just hiring a surveyor would probably be the most practical.
Put a couple pins and a flag or two. Yeah. He picked the wrong guy to mess with, apparently.
I mean, I just thought about a stinky billy goat would be fine, but I mean, this guy went all out.
I want to know how he had all that much manure to begin with. That's a lot.
I mean, you are saving every drop of everything that you've got if you've got a 250-foot.
The Great Poop Wall of Michigan. It's going to be a tourist
It could
attraction.
be the eighth wonder of the world.
Do you remember in The Simpsons when Homer had the pig and he was putting all of its droppings in a silo? And Marge said, "Did that pig fill that entire silo?" And Homer replied, "I helped."
I do.
That sounds right.
Yes. Was that on the movie?
That was
The
in the
Simpsons?
movie.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought so. Yeah.
Oh my God, you guys.
I hope.
I helped.
Oh, Lord.
All right. Well, on that note, we probably should get out of here for the day. Did want to give a shout out to our good friend Mark Carmen. Happy belated birthday, Mark Carmen. And it was his birthday last week. What was it, Friday?
I think
it was. So sorry we didn't embarrass you on Friday, but happy birthday to you late to my good buddy Mark Carmen and all the gang out at Carmen's Used Cars and Trucks. Also, if you're looking for gas or you need any kind of convenience items, please stop by the filling station here in Jackson, the store at Broadway and Penn and Wellston, or Quick Stop here in Jackson. Newly remodeled, by the way. If you haven't stopped by on Broadway Street, you can and see their beautiful new store. Awesome, awesome stuff. So, all right, got to get out of here for the day. Congratulations to all of the Oak Hill graduates, and we're so proud of you and all the Jackson folks that had a great prom over the weekend. Seems like it was pretty successful. So, glad you got moved.
Thank you. Me too.
All right, and we will be back here tomorrow on Tuesday, and who knows what we'll get into, but we'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.